What's up, everyone? Hey, we're back again here from the Space Pod in the DIFC's Fintech Hive. Obviously, they give us this space, and we thank them for this with the equipment and the lightning, and having fun. Today here with Mr. Salman. Been in the payments industry for the past 20 years. A lot of experience, a lot of skill in the fintech industry. So I'm gonna learn more from him today than you guys, but we have the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's really a pleasure, and I look forward to sharing my insights in the fintech journey, in the fintech domain.
Wow, awesome. Sayed, quick question. Where did we meet?
I think, if I remember correctly, we met in Saudi. And I liked the part you were actually setting up the Foloosi booth.
Yes.
If you remember.
Yes.
You had, I think the staff still were about to come.
Correct.
You were setting up.
Yeah,
and then
those days, events days.
Yeah, it was one of these events in Saudi.
Yes,
that's how we bumped into each other. It was an amazing meeting, yeah.
Awesome, man. Salman, throughout the time I've met you till today, I always learn from you. I even call you if I need advice and everything. Let's start from day one. How did you get into fintech or payments? Since it's been 20 years.
Yeah, it has been quite a journey. It has been quite a journey since I started in digital payments and fintech. I started off always working with payment companies, like into cards and switching and digital transaction processing. So I started off with a company, a Moroccan-based company, and sometime around 2005 and 6.
Cool, man. Awesome.
And that was one of I think interesting bit of time, because I got to spend a little bit of time in Morocco. So
wow. How's Morocco?
Oh man, it's awesome. I think one of the good places to visit, especially Casablanca, Fez, and this kind of stuff. So it was a nice period over there.
Cool, man.
And then from there on, I moved on to different companies. I have always been working with payment processing companies, like I said. And more than that, the journey was towards solutioning, towards solution development for banks, fintechs, and the new age merchants. So it was started off as a core journey towards, let's say, card processing, like ATM switching and cards. But then gradually over the past 6, 7, 8 years, I have moved, I don't know, by chance or by intent, more towards eCommerce and more towards digital payments, like merchant payments, and more towards fintech. So that's where my journey started more and more towards the e-commerce side of things. And today, as we speak, this region is really bubbling with fintech activity, right? We're sitting here in Fintech Hive. That itself is a testimony to how fintech is taking shape in this part of the world. So it has been a good journey so far, and we have picked up a lot of things and a lot of innovations to come. So let's see.
I'm going to ask you a few basic questions,
all right,
like a child. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. What's switching in payments? What is switching?
See, if you go
what's
back,
the switch?
If you go back to the core payments technology, you have transactions flowing from a point of sale device.
The machine.
Yeah, where you tap or you withdraw from an ATM. So there is a virtual transaction that comes from the moment you insert your card on an ATM to take the money from your bank account. So this whole transaction goes from your ATM to a switch in between. It's a software. It's a software, routing software that basically connects your transaction, picks it up, takes it to your card account where the money is, and does, if you're asking for 100 dirhams, does you have 100 dirham, approves the transaction and takes it, and it happens in milliseconds. Yeah,
milliseconds. Okay, so so there is companies who run this, right? They provide the software.
Yes,
softwares.
That is what we call the major payment switch companies. We have globally few large names who do this switching part.
Awesome.
And today, most of the technology, even today in the transaction processing, or even in UAE here, so you have the banks, so they are the front. So these companies sit behind the banks. So you don't really hear about their names because
they do all the work.
Yeah, they are the ones at the back. The technology is theirs.
The rough work.
Yes, the core. I could tell you some instances like
tell us.
the why it is so important, this technology, first of all from security side, from instant, it has to be quick. In one of the companies that I won't mention the name, there was an incident that a card was being approved without putting the PIN. So you can imagine the hackers got hold of that, and it was like free money from the ATM.
Oh my God.
So like these kind of small things are bugs at the software level, but it's become even more critical now because of e-commerce.
What's the chance of this error, that I wake up one day and I find $1 billion in my account, in my card?
Today, no. Today, I think the technology has evolved and there are a lot of fail-safe maneuvers around this.
Okay.
So that is very rare, that wouldn't happen.
Okay.
And even if it happens, you will see it and within a second it will go back to wherever it came from. So the banks have put that technology in place now.
Okay, so there's companies who provide that technology to the banks.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a lot of actors, a lot of apart from the technology providers, a lot of regulation in place by the likes of Visa, MasterCard, PCI.
Okay.
So they do all this security checks in place, and they do all this controls to make sure that the funds are going to people who deserve or who are approved to receive those funds.
So PCI is basically the industry standard of
security and compliance. Yeah.
So there is Visa, there is MasterCard, and there is American Express.
There's American Express, yes. There is China Union Pay, there is JCB, and now we are coming up with RuPay, which is the Indian. And of course, in locally we have MADA, which is a Saudi scheme. So these are the schemes.
These are called card schemes.
These are called card schemes. So primarily they are the ones who issue the logo on the card. For example, when you put a Visa logo on a card, right? So how does that transaction, like for example, you are sitting somewhere in the US, you transact.
Correct.
You use your card issued by let's say Sharjah Islamic Bank.
Yes.
So how does this Sharjah Islamic Bank card work in US?
Oh, good.
So that's where these schemes come into play. So they have a global network.
Okay.
So a card which has a Visa logo on it or a MasterCard logo on it will connect to the Visa net. They have the Visa network. It's a global network.
Okay.
So each bank, so that's how they have built their ecosystem, right? These schemes. So every bank who has issued the card is connected to VisaNet, and every ATM on the other side or the card machine is also connected to VisaNet. So they allow this point-to-point connectivity.
Okay, so hey, there's a question that comes into my mind. You know Flusi, right?
Yes, of course.
Where does a company or a startup, fintech startup like Flusi and other, obviously Flusi is more into social commerce, right? Companies like fintech company, payment processing companies or payment providers, where do they fit in this?
They play a key role, I would say. See, today the way the world is moving, I mean that's what we are noticing. Banks primarily were the focus of this exercise initially, right? Like banks used to connect with the merchants, banks used to connect with cardholders.
Banks used to do all the jobs before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's used to be what's called, I think, retail payments of the bank. So this is a very small portion of the bank's overall revenue line or the bank's business, so to speak, because banks primarily make money from other things like corporate banking or trade finance or treasury. So this retail is a very, very small segment of the bank, and now it is becoming more and more demanding because customers are asking for these things. I mean, more and more you have new demands like, okay, I want an Apple Pay. I want to be instantaneously onboarded. I don't want to wait for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Or I don't want a KYC. Something customers are demanding.
I want API integration. Exactly. I want plugins. I want this.
So now banks traditionally are legacy, legacy systems, right? They are not able, or they don't have that technology to move that fast, to move that quick. So that's where the retail payments industry is gradually coming, and banks are happy to give it away to companies like Foloosi. Eventually the trend that's happening is that that's what I foresee, and most of the even in the industry people are noticing, is that the retail payments part is gradually coming out of the bank. So you can think that Foloosi will become like companies like Foloosi, like this fintechs, can actually become like a subsidy of a bank, or like can act like a bank, because bank will be happy to offload this headache, so to speak, right? Because they have to really go at a micro level and they cannot move that fast. And they are happy to focus on the big ticket things like I said, like treasury, trade finance and stuff, and leave the retail payments to companies like Foloosi, who are more specialized, who are more dedicated, who can adapt
to new technologies.
Yeah, and move fast and this kind of stuff. So that's where these companies are now coming up a lot, now that you see people like Foloosi, and there are many more who are picking up in this region. This is because of that, because banks are not able to address that market.
Correct.
That's one of the key things.
Awesome, man. I'm much more motivated now.
Yeah, you have a great journey ahead. I can tell you that.
Inshallah, man. Thanks. Okay, I beg to ask more questions because I really want to learn, And from one of the questions that I'm thinking of, where in the payments industry, what do you think about the fact that there are new technologies that are coming now in terms of new money, like Bitcoin, the blockchain kind of stuff, where the traditional card schemes such as Visa, MasterCard may not be such involved. The fees are not there. The banking system may not be involved.
Absolutely.
So it's all like decentralized technologies. There is no governance, and there's no central governance and stuff like that. And there is peer-to-peer payments going on. It's a nearly $1 trillion market cap.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
See, that's a good thing, right?
From where you've been in the past 20 years, and today you see this.
It's picking up. See, the trend is very evident in countries like India, for instance. Today in India, we have a payment mechanism called UPI.
UPI.
Which is, in fact, taking over.
It's called the Unified Payments Interface.
Yes. I believe so. I'm not too sure, but I think that's how.
I got the keywords, man. I think so.
That's probably the one. I was going to say Union Pay, but it's not. That's the Chinese payment scheme.
Yeah.
So this is this when it was launched with the intent. I think it's almost been like 10 years now since it's launched, or maybe less. I'm not too sure about that. But since the time it has launched, it has taken over the payment rails in India, and UPI has become like I would say an example to other countries as well. I know, for instance, Saudi is very heavily trying to do the same thing. Mada and Saudi payments, for example, because of how convenient it is and how it works away from the traditional card rails. So it is all about instant payments.
Are they doing it because of the fees, the heavy fees that are being?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for sure. I think that's one of the reasons. Fees is one. Settlement delays is another thing. The amount of time it takes for once a transaction happens to actually get paid as a merchant into your account. Could be that. And with this, focusing on the point of instant payments, right? Like the ones that we are talking about, real-time payments. It's really picking up. It is non-card based payments. It's not card related. So that's something that is picking up. And then along those lines is this new emerging stuff, right? Like blockchain or alternate payment methods like digital currencies. So that is something very new. I would say that I don't think this region is still yet ready for this, but blockchain has been available for quite a while, but it has not evolved as a technology, I feel, but it does have, I think, a lot of potential in terms of how distributed ledger technologies can work in terms of solving the issue of settlements and clearing. You have like a real-time settlement ecosystem where funds are being paid and settled almost same time. I know technologies like Ripple and even Swift try to do this, and
wow.
These initiatives are happening, but I think this instant payments, non-card payments has picked up.
Yes.
More than the other kind of DLTs and blockchain kind of stuff.
There are countries where they totally depend on non-card payments.
Exactly. That's what
Kenya, M-Pesa in Kenya.
M-Pesa and Kenya, that is one option. They use something very similar to, I think M-Pesa, if I'm not mistaken, uses a digital wallet kind of a thing based on a telco, which is different than what the IPS scheme is, the instant payment scheme like UPI, for instance, or now even Mada Saudi has introduced one called Saria.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like instant payments. Like it is definitely a way towards movement. I think even UAE is coming up with something like that very soon. So the whole idea is, I think, convenience at the end of the day. I mean, the amount of flexibility today I can make in India, for instance, amazing to see, how evolved a country of the scale and magnitude. I give the example of India because primarily I'm from there, but more than that, the technology has really evolved. The fintech space that India has taken off, the payment space. Today, the penetration of digital payments over there is like crazy. You have people selling on store, right? Like on road. He doesn't even have a proper shop. And he's accepting digital payments.
I saw that.
That's crazy.
They put QR code. Charity, you can give charity with scan QR code. They give the guy charity.
And I was so surprised, like when you go there, the wallet penetration, the UPI penetration is so prevailing. Somebody who is a bike rider, he's able to tell you, okay, sir, if you don't have cash, can you pay me by Google Pay? Or UPI?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine the amount of...
Instant.
And we are paying amounts like 50 rupees, 100 rupees. That's not even, I think, 1 dirham. I mean, that's the kind of penetration it has taken off. And that's how it should be, probably.
That's how it should be, right? Okay. I want to ask you, in the next 10 years, if I can ask you, what do you want to see in payments, or what do you think would be in payments?
See,
what do you expect, or what do you want to see? One of the two you can answer.
It's like the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
It's a journey.
It's a long time.
See, nobody expected this to come this far, right? I mean, today where we are in payments.
Yeah.
And
because there is a lot of gaps, I see a lot of gaps. Today, if you want to give idea, for example, like for your children, when it comes to Eid festivals or normal festivals.
Yeah.
How, especially in Corona time and COVID-19 time, stuff like this. They say they advised not to give in cash, for example. But
yes.
What is the alternative available, yani?